Welcome back. I know you wanted to respond.
Yes, I wanted to respond. Put aside the issue of mobility, but I believe in our culture, that is a tradition. When you leave a certain area, you go to a certain area, you will first be introduced to the chief of that area. And you'll be told, these are the things that you're supposed to abide by. These are the issues. So it will come from you, that choice. If you believe that, you may stay. If you don't want, you'll live away. Let's make for an example. Now, there was an issue around Tabane about the burials. That now the municipality, Tabane Metro, have decided that people will not bury on Sunday, will bury on Sunday. But it was a hula palu around that area. But I believe that the decision was made, and the people, they've challenged that. But I also believe that if that is the case, it's compelling, and this is the way to go. I don't think your views will supersede the views of the municipality. So it is in the same case as that if you
can vote the municipality out.
Yeah, but then in the case of the traditional leaders, you cannot vote a traditional leader
All right,
out.
but let me ask you this. Assuming for the purpose of argument that I'm living there,
yeah,
right, and I now have a complaint, I want to go to the public protector.
Mm-hmm.
She's not a chief, she's the public protector. Now, is she, in the customary system, is she able, are you prepared to accept that she can say to the traditional chief, sorry, you're wrong. You behaved unconstitutionally, behave yourself.
No, I think there are protocols. I think that she will have to go somewhere. She will first report to the first layer of the traditional leadership. You'll have to go to the headman. If you're not satisfied, you'll have to go to the chief. If you're not satisfied,
she's the public protector. She can tell the president what to do, some people say. I mean, the public protector has given a report about Nkandla. I'm not going to have the debate about it now, in which she's basically said certain things about the president. You seriously telling me that in our constitutional structure, she can order the president to take remedial steps, but she can't order a chief?
But in that case, and we all subscribe to the Constitution. We all subscribe to the
So you accept that. So if she gets a report and she has to interface with the traditional chief leader, what happens then in your system?
I think as the advocate,
I'm going to ask her as well.
I think as the advocate is alluded to that effect, that
at
times she entertains those cases, then she'll come up with a verdict. But definitely so, if there is a complaint against the chief, there's the democracy.
I mean, how do you deal with that? Because don't they say to you, who are you? We live by a traditional system, not your fancy, schmancy constitution which you derive your authority from.
Well, fortunately,
I'll give you a chance.
Fortunately, we haven't come across a traditional leader who thinks they are above the law.
Ah, so they accept it.
Because all of them are bound by the law. I mean, the rule of law says that nobody is above the law. But the issues that were raised by Nomobiso are some of the issues that are raised to us about the acts of traditional leaders. I don't want to comment about whether you can be within a tribal authority and apply your own law. It seems a very difficult concept, but I haven't studied that. Because normally the reach of a tribal authority's powers are determined in line with the law. And it's not the tribal authority that would say, my remit ends here. It would be the legal structures that are permitted to do that. But the issues that she's raising are governance issues. Can a traditional leader rule by decree? And those are the issues that she's dealing with, because then those would be anachronistical and not resonant with the Constitution.
Well, that's what we're grappling with. I accept that. And that's what I want to ask you.
So there are ways. The traditional leader still has to be consultative in decision making, and if decisions have to be made by council, they have to be made by council. And if the rights of the people have to be affected, administrative justice applies. Paja and Section 33 of the Constitution apply to the traditional leader. And the issue also of not putting yourself first, conflict of interest. A leader cannot say, I want things to be done on Sunday because Saturday is mine, because that would be a traditional leader violating Section 195 of the Constitution.
Okay, thank you. So let me ask you.
But I think what Ulantuko Omastat is raising here, it is the same point. If you go back and look at the Black Administrations Act of 1927, that gives little powers to the traditional leaders. And if you are in a certain jurisdiction, where is overruled by the magistrate jurisdiction, if you are not happy, you are not satisfied with what has come out from the decision of the traditional council and the chief, we are free to go to the next level, which is the magistrate, where you will get the fair judgment if you feel that we didn't give you the fair judgment in that area.
Or the public protector.
Yes, so you go to the public protector.
So you accept that?
Yes.
So what's wrong with that?
Well, first,
That's
I'm afraid
principle of accountability.
I would disagree with the public protector also.
Oh, right.
Currently, the tribal authority that we're working with in terms of law is the apartheid tribal authority. We do not have, that legislation has not been enacted fully. It's coming. And it was based on the set boundaries and fixed identities. I think it's very important for us to understand that people who live in a community have different lineage and they have different origins. Therefore, their loyalties may lie elsewhere. If we are going to insist on saying, if you are here, these are the rules, we're going to have problems, because right now, a number of communities, right, in Northwest, for example, and other places, have had traditional leaders imposed on them by the apartheid government who were moved from one area during forced removals. And what happened was that because the local community perhaps had resisted the apartheid government, these traditional leaders were imposed on them, right? Now we are going to say that the people who have always been there or people who have been moved from their own area and forced to move into another area, we're going to say that we totally disregard their identities. I think it's very important for us to recognize the fact that African communities have always been complex and layered. The notion of a singular tribal authority derives from the colonial interpretation of what a tribe is.
But is there not
a
sense beyond the colonial of a tribal authority?
Nowhere in Africa. Wait a minute, please. In Africa, nowhere. Nowhere. I was in Nigeria about 2 weeks ago during elections, where an Oba made an uncomfortable statement, not to the extent of King Zulitin, right? People were shocked because he was making it, he was all in a particular area, and he endorsed a candidate and threatened a group, or rather made a message that seemed to be coming from a different, directed to people of different cultural background, right? And the coexistence and the layered nature starts at a very basic level. Land allocation.
I haven't got time to go. No, I haven't got time. I'm running out of time.
Okay. Land allocation and all these issues that we're talking about start at a family level, right? And in pre-colonial times, in fact, land was allocated. This is what Olumisa writes about. Land was allocated by at a family level.
But we can't go back there. I mean, for goodness sake, we have...
and I'm not suggesting we should. I'm simply correcting a historical distortion.
Yes.
I'm not getting it clear from Umatrisa when he says that whether her argument is that if you arrived at a certain area where the chief is in charge, would you be allowed to do your own as you are placed in that area, and yet there are set rules of that area? Is that what she wants to say? Is that the position that she wants to take? Because really, if you take for an example, somewhere in the
position, yes or no? Is that the position you want to take?
It's not quite as simple as yes or no, but actually that's a crudification of the point that I'm making.
But
that's not what I'm saying. That is not what I'm saying.
No, look, in the Eastern
Cape, we'll have another debate about this, but I'm afraid all things have to end, and this program is. But it's a fascinating question, because this all starts, as I suggested, with the statement of King Goodwill Zwelithini and the issue about what is the role of traditional chiefs, how does one reconcile that with the Constitution? We hear tonight the public protector gets involved in various complaints. We hear that, well, people have choices. Constitution does give them choices. Fundamental to the Constitution is freedom. And yet, whether it was through colonialism or not, we've got various structures of a traditional kind. How do we reconcile these, in a sense, which makes sense of everything, and in particular, makes sense of the Constitution? If you've heard quite a bit of the debate, judge for yourself. Goodbye.